Hello guys, today I'm gonna show you a real quick walkthrough of Vivado 2019.1. Once you install it, you will have two icons, Vivado 2019.1 and Vivado HLS. So I'm just double clicking it so that it can open up. That's the first window is the welcoming window where you can see there is a quick start tab and then the tasks tab and then learning center. So through the quick start tab you can create a project or you can open up any already existing design or you can open an example design. In the tasks tab you have like three options. The manage IP, this option is basically normally a professional people they do use it, but you can also use it for your academic projects or something. Like when we have a lot of IPs, intellectual property, then we create and manage IP, and we create all the IPs there, and then we instantiated the IPs through that project in our real project. Okay, and that's the hardware manager. Like once you have all your bit streams, you can just connect your device. When I say device, it means FPGA. Xilinx FPGA, you can connect with your machine, and then you can open up the Vivado hardware manager, and then you can download the bit stream through Vivado hardware manager, and also you can debug through Vivado hardware manager if you have ILA instantiated in your design. And that's the Xilinx tickle store. Through this, you can learn what commands Vivado design suite uses to do a lot of stuff. And that's the learning center. The learning center, all of the links will take you to Xilinx dock navigator, and I do have the navigator on my second screen, so I'm just yeah, that's the navigator. So here you can see like I already have it open, so you can select like which type of documents you wanna go through. So that's that, right? So I'm gonna close it, and you don't need to open the Vivado design suite to read the documents. You have this doc nav separately as an icon, as an application on your desktop. Okay, so go back to Vivado, and in this real quick walkthrough, I'm gonna create a project so that we can we can start from very scratch. So once you click on the create project, basically the first pop-up window is the create new project. Okay, so what it says is like this wizard will guide you through the creation of a new project. To create a Vivado project, you will need to provide a name and a location for your project files. Next, you will specify the type of flow you will be working with. And finally, you will specify your project sources and choose a default part. Okay, so just click next, right? And then as it said before, like you have to specify the project, bring it as project one, and then the project location. I'm gonna change the location, and I'm gonna store all my projects in my projects folder. So I just change it, and I would recommend to have this check create project subdirectory so that you can have the project directory, because you're going to create a lot of files. And like just once you create the project, it's going to create a lot of files without having the just like resource files or RTL files. Okay, so just click on next, and then it does have like a lot of options here. So the thing is what type of project you're gonna create here. So if we are just gonna start the project from very scratch, like we are gonna code in Verilog or VHDL or system Verilog, then we are gonna select this RTL project. You will be able to add sources, create block diagrams in IP integrator, generate IP, run RTL analysis, synthesis, implementation, design, and planning analysis. Do not specify resources at this time. It does say like you're not gonna specify the RTL sources, so you can check it or you can just ignore it. The other options are for the other purposes, like if you have like already a project, so you are just gonna post synthesis the design, you're not gonna start from scratch, then you can go for this option. Or for other purposes like IO planning project, you are not having any resources, you are just you will be just able to view the part and package resources. Imported project means like the project they are created on some other softwares like Simplify, XST, or ISE project. ISE is basically the same kind of application, but it's more like an obsolete now. You can say the older version of Vivado is basically the ISE, right? Or you can just go for the example projects, right? So I'm gonna go click on the RTL project right now and then just click next, and here you can specify the resources, right? If I check this guy here and then I will click, then it will automatically take me to the directly the parts and the boards options, right? But because I didn't check it, that's why it's asking me to add the files. So here I can create the files, like if I click the plus button and then if I will just add the project file, because right now I don't have any of the source files like the Verilog or the VHDL or system Verilog files. So what I can do is like create a file here, right? Okay, so the file type, I'm gonna code in Verilog or Verilog, system Verilog, VHDL, or it's a memory file, or it's just a Verilog header, right? So let's just select Verilog for now and just create a file with the extension .v, because we just select the type Verilog, right? So file name is probably, I'm just gonna type an example here, okay? And the file location is local to the project, right? Local to the project means like it's gonna create a directory with the name src or source, and then it's gonna create the example.v in that directory, right? But you can change the directory like if you are so organized. And in the next couple of videos, basically I will show you like how to organize all the files, because in larger projects we have to have different directories that actually has different names because of their functionality, so we actually have to differentiate the files, okay? So that's the easy and organized way. Okay, but for now, because we are just going through the interface, so we don't care about the location of the file. So I'm just gonna click OK, and you see it says like the name is example.v and the index is basically the file number. So if I'm gonna create another file, it's gonna be 2, and the library is just the XIL default lib HDL source for synthesis and simulation both. And if you're just gonna make a design just for the simulation, you can change it, but I'm for now just make it synthesis and simulation both. Okay. And then the target language is Verilog, but you can change it VHDL if you're working on VHDL. And the simulator, I would suggest to have it mixed, because sometimes you do have like some files in the VHDL and some files in the Verilog, and you don't know it. Why? Because the files are in your instantiated IP. Okay. So just make it simulator language as mixed. Okay, then click next. Okay, and that's the add constraints. Right now it says optional, but what are the constraints? The constraints are basically I mean it's a kind of a file that actually has the information of your pins of your device, the clock information, a lot of timing constraints and timing exceptions, multiple cycle paths, and a lot of false path, and everything we are going to define in our constraints file. Right now I don't have any, and I'm not going to create it because I don't have any idea like what I'm going to write in the module. So but don't worry, like it doesn't require you to do everything on this step. You can add a lot of other files later on. It's just the first step it is asking. Okay, so here I'm just gonna skip this step and I'm just gonna click next, and then it's gonna ask me, okay, which device you are gonna use for that. Okay, so you can see there are like a parts and the boards, right? So if I'm gonna click the board, then I will have a lot of information here, and probably if you are the first time user, or maybe you just installed the Vivado, so you are not seeing all these board information. If you are not seeing that, then click on the update board repositories, and it's gonna take a while, but after that it will have everything, right? All the board's information. So I do have Zybo Z720. So I'm gonna select this guy. Okay, this is it just open up the web page from, because this board is from DG Land. Okay, you're done. Okay, so I just click on that and then I click next to select the board, and the you can see the other information, right? Like the vendor is dglandinc.com, file version is 1.0. Because why the file version? Because all the boards you can see here are basically the files in the background. Once you update the board repositories, the Vivado is gonna download the files from the vendor website and is gonna update your Vivado design suite. Okay, IO pin counts are 400, board revision is B.2, available IOs are just 125, LUT elements are almost 53,200, and flip-flops are a lot. Block RAMs are 140. I mean, all this information. DSPs are 220, and the rest of the information you can view. And MMCM, that's the important thing. MMCMs are just 4 MMCM in this device, okay? And these are the operating conditions. While just click on next, and then you can see here the new project summary, right? A new project summary, it says like a new RTL project named project underscore one will be created. Right now it's not created yet. If you just cancel it, it's not gonna create anything. Okay, and then one source file will be added, as I showed you. Like I just created one file called example.v, and I skipped the constraints step, so it's not gonna add anything in the constraint section, right? And in the default part and the product family part, for the new project I selected the board Zybo Z720, which has the part number XC7020CLG400-1, and that's the temperature. All right, the product is Zing 7000, the family is this, package is this, and the speed grid is that, right? That's the speed grid. All right, and then I'm just gonna click finish here, right? So once I click the finish, it's creating the project and initializing the project, right? That's the another pop-up window now. So the thing is like what it is asking actually. I have created a file which is called example.v. Now it is asking me to add a module inside of your file. Okay, so if that's the simple way, like your module name, for example. Normally what we do, we keep the module name exactly as the file name, just for our own simplicity or understanding. So I'm gonna keep the same module name as the file example, and then I can add the IO ports from here, right? Yeah, I mean, like you just say like I will have a clock in my design, because that's the digital design, so it should have a clock, because clock is just a power to the circuit, right? And in the direction of the clock is always input. It's not gonna be a bus, because it's just a clock. Maybe you will have a bus for different clocks, right? And then the another input I can have is the reset, right? Okay, and that's the input as well, and it's not gonna be a bus. Okay, and we can have a data, right? I can type a data, I mean that's the another input, right? And that's the data in, right? Okay, and it could be a bus. So if I check on the bus, it can say you can define MSB or LSB. Maybe I just have maybe just so 8-bit data bus, and then the output, right? Data out. Okay, so that's the direction we have to change, because that's the output. And you can see there are like three options: input, output, and in out. So we can possibly have all of three, right? In out is also possible. Some ports that do have input and output direction, and that's the unique case. Like, it's like a buffer or tri-state buffer, we can say. So for now, make it simple and just make the direction output. And because the input is like, 8 bit long, so I'm gonna check the bus here and make it 7 as well. Okay, so that's, it looks like it's very easy, but it's, I mean, when you're gonna code the files, this is not the good way to make your port names and set the direction. The easiest way is to type it. Okay, so if I'm just gonna click OK, so what it's gonna do, it's gonna update my file with the module and the inputs. So you can see here in the sources, it's just updated. But before I go through the file, the purpose of this video is to take you to the interface of Vivado Design Suite. What is what and how we do things in the Vivado, right? So let's get started with the interface, and then we will show how the other things will be done. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this video here, and I will show you in the next part of the video the rest of the stuff. I will explain everything. Okay, and then we will go from there.